Welcome back to another fantastic episode of I'm going to Talk and You're going to Listen. This is episode I don't know, and I don't know what day or time it is, but it's crazy windy out, and that always gets me going. So stay tuned to the end of the show if you care about any of the book updates. And we're just going to start normally with the shout outs. Laura the Duck, appreciate you always. I'll definitely let you know when we get closer to the book relaunch. CDK, my number one analog radio engagement buddy, appreciate you. And Glocktard, my top advisor for electronics, for appreciate you. And Birio, thank you for the encouragement. And Cucumber Farmer, appreciate you. Says Trump wants to make the U.S. the cryptocurrency capital of the world. His plan, I think, is to crash the currency to get people to beg for a digital currency. What's interesting about that is that's not at all what he is indicating through his his outreach, but that's definitely what it seems like he's doing. I think within a year, we're going to see a very significant currency crash. We're already seeing it between the tariffs and everyone switching to gold and away from the US dollar. So I think I made that prediction a long time ago. I still think that's where we're going to have to go digital, because Social Security is going to become solvent. And they didn't even remotely come close to the trillions they needed to cut. Tech Lead, another YouTuber, explained it perfectly. So check him out. We're going to be in an extremely dire situation in a year, currency wise, economy wise. So I think the only way out of this was the last Hail Mary and it didn't work. The only way out of this is going to be through digital currency. So yeah. I don't think that's what he wants. At least, what he's saying, but what he's doing, whether intentional or not, is going to drive us there. So whether I don't think he wanted it, but I think it's what's going to happen. Oh, because like I said, they started China started messing with our treasury bonds, and it caused a hiccup that I think screwed up his happy plan, and now we're going to the sad plan. And I think that's it. I didn't get a lot of engagement, but the engagement that I did get, I really appreciate it. It's fun to go through these and respond to all of you. So it helps keep me going. I'd also like to thank Vision Preparedness, who has a bug out weekend coming out soon. It's fully packed and fully booked out. I could not be more excited for him. I wish I could go. I wish I could load him to the gills with goodies, but it's just not in the works right now. But he's doing a fall one, and I hope I'm in a position to just go all out, giving him goodies for his fall bug out. By then, my books and my finances should be in a way better place. So also shout out to Hudson Valley. He's killing it. His daily morning content is something that it's really been helping me every morning to get going. So I really appreciate him. And Survival Living has been killing it too. It's I can't say this enough. It's so nice having other YouTubers on the same page, working on the same stuff. It really helps. So if you haven't, I encourage you to check those 3 out. Yeah. So with that, we'll get going to the main topic. Just kidding. I don't have a main topic. Hold on. Okay, well, I kind of do. Seeds, gardens, solar. A big wind gust kicked up just a little while ago, and immediately I go check the shed and make sure the shed's okay. And I don't think I've ever physically seen the shed move, like bend with the breeze before, but the shed was bending with the breeze, and that just has me worried. I don't actually know how that thing hasn't flown away yet. I don't know if it's because it's hammered into a bunch of railroad ties underneath it. I'm not actually sure how it hasn't flown away, but it's hanging in there. But being able to keep everything repaired is massive. It's something I'm terrible at, and I have a very strong opinion that this is the year that I'm going to have to learn how to which roofing nails to get, which roofing materials to get, and I'm going to have to learn how to roof, even if it's just to roof my poor little small shed. And I think as much as I was really upset that the assessors, which was a 100% mathematically provable scam by tens of thousands of dollars, overvalued that shed ludicrously. It's still kind of like a little trooper. It has seen it has seen a lot of shit, but it sits there and it just kind of sways in the breeze, despite the hell it's been through. And I guess I'm kind of like a sucker for trying to keep things going, kind of past their prime. But I think at the same time, there's no way in hell I could afford a shed, and I don't have the energy or the time or a truck to build a new shed. What I would do is I would deconstruct that shed, and then I would hire people to come build me something with 2x6s so I could insulate it and build a tiny home out of it. But I mean, it would have to be bomb proof and anchored to massive railroad ties or something, because the wind that rips through here is crazy. It's the same thing with the carport. The carport needs to be completely rebuilt. And it doesn't need to be rebuilt. It needs to be reconstructed and reinforced quite a bit, because the wind here is just insane. But I went out and checked, and all the trees are fine. There was some flowers that got launched into orbit, but that's okay. I cleaned them up and scooted them to more of a windproof spot.
Found a bunker deep in the woods. Supply stacked high, it feels so good. Hiding out neath the leafy hood. Gonna help others try to get through.
And yeah, here I am, part 2. So I was talking about needing to reinforce the carport, and I think I've thought of some easiest ways of doing it. Maybe if I only take out one piece at a time. I think the interesting thing is though is like the more I think about this stuff, and just I spent a lot of time thinking today. It's so funny. It's like exactly the amount of time later for the cat feeder to go again. So there you go. It only is a couple seconds to you, but I think it was 6 hours for me. Anyway, here I am. I was thinking today, like family, friends, like a team, a network is like so important. There are people who can build houses by themselves. If you have enough clamps and this and that, but like the average person can't do that. Like I could pull the shed down piece by piece. It would take me forever, but I could do it. I did take the roof off by myself, which I'm insanely proud of myself for doing. That was way out of my comfort zone. But with one special tool that I didn't even know existed, I took that whole roof down in no time. I think, and I think taking the, what's it called, OBS? Why do I always screw up the name of that? Whatever the name of that plywood is. I think I could take that off relatively. I could do that. I could cut and put a new piece on. I think I could theoretically, if I knew what tiles to get, and if I knew which type of nails to get, and then if I could sync that up with the nail gun to get, I could put a new roof on it, I think. But I was thinking like there's kind of a second part to that that's maybe more existential, which is like I put a new roof on it, and I think I could do that, in a vacuum. I think that's within the realm that I could do. It'd be crazy dangerous and not at all worth my life to get on this insane, crappy, old shed. But I was thinking to myself, like, nothing stops the wind from just completely shearing off the roof shingles. And I was the one that pulled the last roof shingle. I can't believe this is exactly the same time with the cat food. That's so funny. So I'm the one that took the shingles off. There was at least 2 layers of shingles on it, so they had just kept stabbing shingles into it over and over and over again. I mean, hundreds of pounds of shingles everywhere, with all different types of tacks, because everything here was just so rigged together with all the different types of screws and boards and just every janky thing. Like, there's parts of the deck that don't even have wood to wood connections. Like, everything here is just rigged together by people who couldn't slide 2 tiles, 2 floor tiles together. They couldn't be bothered to thread, a hose to a coupling properly to not, flood their own floor and destroy their own floor. Be able to, not just make a mess of everything and renovate and parts of everything they renovated, like the floor, the little pieces of flooring don't even connect. And not that I would do any better of a job. I wouldn't. That's kind of the whole point, is like I am not an expert in anything. I can just barely do things kind of sort of good enough ish to like barely almost sort of kind of make it for a while. It comes down to time and money and energy. I was going to live for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years and could, heal through anything, I would just go do it all. But none of that. That's a fantasy, right? So the shed example, like I need to hire somebody. It's like, okay, how do you put a roof on a shed with like the crazy winds that we have? Right? That's what I need to know. I don't need to know how to put a shed on it and put a roof on a shed. I need to know someone who has done it in this area where it won't fly away. That might take special nails, that might take special roofing. I don't know. But when we moved in, those roof shingles were already like flying across the yard. And the roof was leaking, and it's been a challenge. I'm not complaining. I'm explaining these things to you because homesteading is insanely challenging. These are all things that I anticipated but couldn't do anything about. Right? The initial plan was to not lose our last house, and I would have not only been saving up for 6 years, but our old house would have paid this off, and we would have had damn near infinite resources to throw at this place, to just press a magic button. And or I maybe would have just had enough money just flat out drop a second place on here. Instead, we just barely scraped through by the skin of our teeth, just barely starting over. So talking to other people who are just now barely trying to scrape their way into houses before the economy gets even worse, before interest rates gets even worse, before the dollar tanks even more, before the housing crisis gets even worse. I think you need a tribe. You either need a family, or you need neighbors, or you need friends who are just an army of repair worker of contractors. But the other part of that is you need to be able to have the money to compensate them, because contractors are and home general contractors are really hurting right now. And you might be comfortable putting a new door on, but you might not be comfortable with what happens if there's something bad behind that door that you need to take care of. Like, I have no doubt that I could figure out how to carve through the floor and replace the mushy spot with a good piece of OBS, whatever the hell it's called. Why do I always forget what it's called? Yeah, OSB. I could figure it out. I could go get a piece and I could chop it to the right size and stuff. I guess I could watch some YouTube videos and figure out how to put a new piece of floor over it, or just throw one of those like industrial, commercial mats over it and pretend it's not there and try not to trip over it. I don't think that's the hard part. The hard part is, what if there's something behind it? And then you're talking at 10 times the price and needing to hire an expert, but now it's kind of too late because you've already, ripped the bandage open. It's the same thing with the windows. Half the windows in this house leak, and underneath half of these windows is squishy bits. It's not going to be as simple as replacing these windows. That costs tons of money. I could probably figure out how to do a window myself. Well, I would need a buddy. But, because windows are unwieldy little bastards. But, I wouldn't know what to do about the rest of it. And I think that's why a lot of YouTube videos are blowing up these days, about people just showing how fucked up their houses are. They find these houses and they're just beyond fucked. And I think part of that is because people are moving further and further out, scrimping and scramping the bottom of the barrel. Maybe these are like fucked up flips that didn't make it 2020 through 2022, when flipping was just going bananas, and then all those flips crashed in 22 through 23. I assume that that's still going on. These YouTube videos of just these houses is a travesty, really. And ours isn't that bad. It just takes time, energy, money, and buddies. It's all very fixable. It just, again, another problem you're all going to face. I'm not complaining. This isn't me complaining or begging. These are, I think, real things that a lot of people are running into right now. It's all going to segue into a point, I promise. My income for what I do for a living has stagnated, and it really topped out almost immediately. I distinctly remember in 06 and 07, when I got my degree, and I went to the big leagues and joined the big boys in the IT world. The going rate being between 20 and 40 an hour. In 06 and 07, that was a metric shit ton of money. However, that rate hasn't changed this entire time. It is now the year 2025, and those rates haven't changed. It's 18 years. 18 years. Those job rates haven't changed. You could kind of negotiate from between $20 to $40 an hour, and then you could sort of flip back and forth, and get a little bit higher here and there, a teeny tiny bit. For this contractor that because I was a contractor for a long time in IT, and you could flip and flop and maybe squeeze another dollar here or there, depending. But you could never really get higher than 45. Like, you were really, 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 really topping out at 45. 40 if you were lucky. And again, I've talked about this before. To some people, $20 an hour seems massive. To some people, $40 an hour seems massive. It's really not for most of the modern civilized world, especially now that you got to go back to the office and live right next to the city where everything costs a fortune. You will do your bills, do this, do that. It's like, man, you can't. Your mortgage or your rent alone is going to be one, if not more than one of your paychecks, and it's all downhill from there. You have to have 2, 3, 4 people with an income with 2 or 3, 4 jobs apiece just to try to stay insulated from all that. So you could live like just an absolute hermit crab and still just be like the absolute skin of your teeth, where absolutely nothing can go wrong health-wise, vehicle-wise, and just don't ever get a pet, because if even a tiny thing happens to that pet, you're upside down. So I hate talking about money. I hate talking about resources. I hate talking about preps for that reason. People are just so like insanely judgmental, but you've got to get it through your head, for the sake of a lot of these arguments, to like making $100K a year now, at least up and down the I-5 corridor, is nothing. It's nothing. We are getting taxed to death. Fuel costs a fortune. The only thing we have going for us here now anymore, and in a lot of places, and with the private power companies just tripling, quadrupling electric rates, the only thing some of us have anything going anymore is electricity is relatively affordable. And if you live far enough out, you can grow your own food and help subsidize some of it. But they've tried to force everybody back to the office, which may as well be a kill zone at this point. And you realize that, like, so you want to repair your house, like, you go look at the cost of lumber. You have to replace a tool, go look at the cost of tools. Again, that's if nothing goes wrong. So prepping on a budget, you can get food and seeds. You can get canned food relatively affordable. You can get seeds. Maybe you can trade your buddies for seeds or something. Like, a lot of people have extra heirloom seeds left over at the end of their harvesting season, and you can collect that. But like, if you can get kind of those affordable greenhouses and kind of upbuild them if you can find the materials to do that. But you're still going to need lights. You're still going to need to run more electricity to it. You're still going to need to run more water to it. It's rough, right? And then one bad thing going wrong can wipe it all out. You forget to water it for one day, or one rabbit gets in, or one deer. Ugh. And all of a sudden, a very expensive fruit-bearing tree that's going to take forever to mature gets ruined in 5 minutes in one night. And then it might come back next year, it might not. I mean, it's very, very demoralizing. Most of my trees have come back from the deer and rabbits, but some of them haven't. One of them I was sure was going to come back, and I thought it was just fine, and it's just still dormant. Both huckleberries are still dormant too. Like, prepping, homesteading is a real challenge. And what you have to try to do is you have to go back to the roots of prepping, which is trying to figure out what you're prepping for, what the second and third order effects are. And you have to really, really zone in on that. You have to really focus. You have to really focus on that. and go that direction. So at least statistically speaking, you're ready for something. So here, it took a while, but I realized like we really get pounded by wind. So a lot of my time here now is like, okay, I think another windstorm's coming. I need to go outside and make sure everything's okay. Which I did today. I go make sure all the batteries are charged again. If it's the winter, I make sure I have, as much wood staged as possible so I don't have to go out in it. And one of the new things I've done is I, had to track down the right type of power strip that will keep the fridge alive. Keep the fridge from like downvolting and getting destroyed in a power outage. Something I should have done a long time ago, but I couldn't find the right power strip. I'll leave that down in the shopping list. You need a very, very, very special power strip to make sure that your fridge compressor doesn't kick back on when the power comes back, but you're not really getting full voltage yet. A lot of people don't know that. The second effect of all that is you need to have your fridge plugged into a power strip, so if the power goes out, you can roll your power wall over there and switch it out really quick. In case you're not home and the missus is there, she can snap, roll, snap, done. If you don't have everything set up at your panels, which I don't, because again, time, money, resources, energy. I think it would take an actual, real, massive, biblical scale miracle to pull us out of this recession enough to where people could actually afford, to where I could afford somebody to come fix my deck for me, because I kind of the boards are all fine. I'm not even actually sure what happened with it. I think they just never built it right to begin with, and so I think maybe just a couple of boards, maybe like shape up a couple of boards and throw a couple of boards in there and like square it back off again. Just so I think it's safe, but like, I'm not sure. Some of it needs to be repainted too, and I need to get, maybe some, I don't know, sanding discs or something. They make those. So I can repaint it easily. Some of that stuff's like a little bit more doable than others, but with how the awning, what are those called? The diddly-do that goes over the deck. I'm actually surprised, knock on wood, that the wind hasn't just like ripped that thing off. Because I mean, who knows? Jim Bob's cousin 100 years ago screwed it in there. Not that long ago, but it feels like that long. Like, you don't know, right? I mean, that was the thing with the carport, like the ding dongs. Like, I'm sure that at one point, like, that carport was like rock solid, but somebody wanted to lift it up, maybe to get a taller RV in there. And they just used some like rinky dink screws and just screwed it in lengthwise and widthwise, and I don't even know how they did it. And there's these screws that are just barely holding it together as the wind rocks it back and forth. And you just, I think every generation of these people has been screwed. I don't think they ever had the money, time, or resources, energy to do this. They've all just kind of been scrimping along, and at some points they must have had like a little bit of a tribe and a little bit of money to try to throw some of it together just long enough to keep going a little bit more. You know, a little bit of a deck, a little bit of a porch is better than nothing. And I have no doubt that somebody came through here and did all of them because they all have the same paint, they all have the same boards, and everything. Every porch has the same paint, the same boards. The arm, the railings are all junk. They're not. None of them are squared off. They all go in all different wackadoo directions. And my brother was pointing out some funny stuff that I never noticed. The way they just kind of threw the decks down, kind of just like went around things and kept going. And like that's all okay. It's just suboptimal. It needs work. Like, and that's the thing I noticed about the neighbors. Like, they are up the second the sun comes up, and they work until the sun goes down nonstop like ants every day. It is impossible to even remotely keep up with them. And I also work all day. I have a full-time job. Homesteading is also like a full-time job. I'm trying to work on 2, 3, 4 other sources of revenue to try to stay ahead. And I think that's the thing. Shout out to KB Money Show. They did an episode recently called like average isn't good enough. And I liked the way that they phrased a lot of what they said, because you kind of do like some napkin math. And making the average amount of money does not pay off. I'm pulling it up here. It doesn't pay off your debt. It won't pay off your mortgage. It won't pay off your car loan. It won't pay off your credit cards. And you'll be living paycheck to paycheck, and you're going to be hosed. And that's the thing. Up and down the I-5 corridor in the Pacific Northwest, they have effectively taxed everybody to be like below. They've like taxed everybody to like poverty levels through home taxes, interest rates, income tax if you're in Oregon, sales tax if you're in Washington, and it just keeps going up and up and up and up for schools. And meanwhile, this new matrix got put out talking about how the superintendents are making like $300,000-400,000 a year. Talking about how the gal, one of the chairperson gals in Portland, is getting like a $200,000 security detail on top of her like $300,000 or $400,000 salary. Like you're not going to compete with that in terms of buying power, obviously. But what you can do is continually stay ahead of the curve. I didn't get a raise this year, right? And yet everything is going up. You can only like cut spending so much before like you will be upside down. And I think that's where we're going. Not we, but like the proverbial we, I think are all going to be upside down within 12 months. If you're not extremely cognizant of what's going on. And unfortunately, I think that means, like, I hate to say it, but like maybe not getting that next pet that you want to get. I get sick and fucking tired of everybody telling me that I need a dog. Like, you think I don't know that? You think I don't know that we need a dog? Do you have any idea how expensive that is? That's a giant chunk. That's like a monthly subscription of worth of money just gone off the top. Do they add value? Of course they do. Sometimes, most of the time, sometimes they cause problems, sometimes they destroy things, they could be little bastards. Do they add value too? Of course they do, but the thing is, like, the money has to come from somewhere. Not just their food, but all their damn vet bills and dog proofing everything, and they're a time and an energy investment too. I get so pissed. People just have the cutesy little things that they're not even wrong. They're not even wrong. But like, the money has to come from somewhere. Where do you cut? When you don't have cable and you already don't have cable, you haven't had cable in forever, you don't have Netflix. You just have your little internet. I don't subscribe to any of those video game services. Where's the money for a dog supposed to come from? Where's the money for, I need a truck. Where's that money supposed to come from? Like, if you move out to start homesteading and you don't have a truck, you're a second class citizen. Everyone just drives right by you in their trucks. Everyone just drives right by you in their tractors. They drive right by you with their giant lawnmowers. And that's it. And all of you need to be looking at 2 or 3 or 4 sources of income, because even if you can repair everything yourself, you're still going to have to get timber. You're still going to have to get screws. Screws are one of those great, recession proofing hedging things. I've never felt like we've had enough screws. I probably have enough for like a small job, but the price of screws just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And it's just a matter of like, how do you plan? Like, if you collect Social Security, like, sooner or later your Social Security is going to be screwed if you rely on Medicare, Medicaid. Like, you got to count on, like, maybe Medicare and Medicaid not being there. Like, they didn't cut the billions of dollars they were supposed to cut. So something's going to happen. The tariffs aren't working out. China is selling off treasuries, like gold's going through the roof. Crypto's not rebounding. The stock market is tanked. Housing, real estate is not doing good. The biggest building in Portland never got finished, and I think the company working on it may have gone into bankruptcy. I can't remember. I think it's because they couldn't find the materials and they couldn't find the financing to keep building the building, and nobody's in Portland anymore. They're trying to force everybody back, and a lot of people are saying no. Rightfully so. There's nothing to eat down there. And who's paying $35 for a cheeseburger? And what the fuck? What the fuck were they thinking? Granted, the cops did rally a bunch of other cops together, and they did shut down some street shutdowns and make some arrests, and really chased some really bad people around, and they did a good job. But it shouldn't take them having to like really consolidate a bunch of energy together to be able to do what is becoming a massive threat to the region, which are these armed gang street lockdowns. Because all it's going to take is for the street lockdown people to realize, like, we don't have to run from them anymore. And I know that's horrible to say. It's only going to take one night, and that'll be it. And either they're going to have to declare martial law, or they're going to have to activate metric shit tons of National Guard or something. And I just don't know if Tina Kotek has the cojones to deal with the optics of that, because the optics of those street shutdowns is that, oh, they're just people having innocent fun. Why would you want to bother those people having their innocent sideshows? Ugh, because they've got the media covering for them. It just is disgusting. We are one bad decision away from total collapse. Now, the protests weren't that big. They're the 50-51 protests this weekend were supposed to be ginormous, and it turns out that they were smaller than the ones a few weeks ago. But they keep feeding these false narratives, like that guy that accidentally, wink wink, got sent back to El Salvador. He wasn't accidentally sent back. They keep pushing these false narratives. The guy of a certain ethnicity that stabbed in the heart and killed the guy of another certain ethnicity that got out on a pathetically tiny bond, that got a GoFundMe for $500K, that have a brand new car and are renting like a giant mansion. Now, like, this is all a powder keg. Between the economy and them stoking racial injustice and orange man bad, and you even have major entertainment outlets making very, very, very thinly veiled political statements. They always talk about how they want to stay out of politics, then they make these very thinly veiled, gaslighting, political statements. And it's like, okay, it's funny, haha, except that's a dog whistle to like a whole metric shit ton of people that are just looking for people that they think are on their side. And while conservatives, I think, have been splintered 3 sheets to the wind at this point, I think the left is just becoming more and more and more galvanized, and there's fewer and fewer avenues for nuance and finding middle ground. And humor can be a great way to poke out people's hypocrisy. Except if their own side is too fucking retarded and already lacks the self-awareness and is already doing really stupid things, then all that shit just becomes more like dog whistles for them to just gaslight the shit out of everybody. And that's exactly what's happening. And I see the nuance. I'm not pissed at them. But you read the comments section and everyone's like, haha, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it's just like, fuck. Like, it's just like we're at the edge, man. When Elon here any week now goes back to his normal job, it's not going to cool things off. It's the same thing that the rhinos got themselves stuck in with the budget. And it's the same thing that happened with tariffs. Like, they always chicken out. They always hesitate. You know, Musk didn't test the waters, and then he hesitated. You know, the rhinos with the budget, they should have just slashed the budget, and then the lefties would have panicked. Then they would have fought it, and then they would have accepted it. And then we would have rightfully saved a bunch of money. The RIFs are still going to save money. It's just going to take a while. And it's the same thing with tariffs. The tariff was kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge joke thing. But they should have actually been ready. They should have had their ducks in a row to be ready to smack down real tariffs. Do I give a shit if TikTok goes down and a bunch of TikTokers lose their house because they're not making TikTok money anymore? No, fuck them. That's retarded. But also, if you're going to shut down TikTok, you should be shutting it down for the right reasons. And I don't think they were shutting TikTok down for the right reasons. I think there's a lot of manipulation in it, and I think they could have. I think there's other ways of dealing with that. And the fact that it's another spy device, but there's other ways to deal with that too. But if they're not ready, if they weren't ready to deal with chip tariffs and iPhone tariffs and whatever else, the thing is that China is taking it seriously, and China is getting ready. And I know Tech Lead already covered this, but I agree with him, and I want to bring it up too. Like, China has been posturing and in adopting a posture of being able to get out from under chip tariffs for a really long time and chip restrictions. They made tinier chips that can do the same work, supposedly that take less energy. They're using their AIs to make their AIs more lean and more efficient. And in other words, I can't think of right now. And more streamlined. Today's one of those days where I can't think of my words. Nah, that sucks. I'll think of it later, probably. And they won't need NVIDIA chips soon. And then NVIDIA's going to tank. Or worse, people just start buying the Chinese chips and they just start smuggling them out somehow. Just like how Europe is at war with Russia, but buying Russian oil. So the rest of the world was preparing for a trade war, and America was just bluffing a trade war. They weren't ready for it. And so many things, like so many of these companies that have been, their whole livelihood revolves around drop shipping cheap Chinese shit. And then you have other manufacturers that were like, well, no, actually, like, they're not drop shipping it. We're actually just having them make it. And now we can't fulfill our orders. And now everything's gone up 4,000% or whatever mumbo jumbo. And it's so hard to tell. I was talking to the Grok about it. China steals so much shit that it's impossible to figure out what people are using it for legitimate manufacturing and which of it is drop shipped garbage. And in a lot of cases, it could be coming from exactly the same factory. And if this stuff's patented, you wouldn't be able to tell, and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it anyway. And I think, I cannot remember which YouTube it was, so I apologize, or which news, but they were saying like USPS doesn't have any staff that can look through the packages and figure this stuff out. So tariffs, they weren't designed for like a company. There's a company called Rhino USA, and as far as I can tell with all of the research I did, they make this collapsible portable toilet. It drop ships from China because I'm sure, just like so many other ones, like it's not impossible, but it's very hard to find US manufacturing for stuff like this. Not impossible, because I think the flip and slide actually, they're the real one, not all these knockoffs. I think this does actually get made. Hold on, I'm looking. Yeah, this is actually made in the USA. So I think, which is weird because this also looks like some kind of, IBS kind of a plastic thing that just like that. Come on, the whole Rhino USA portable toilet. Like, I think that could be made in the USA too, because if the flip and slide is made in the USA, they should be able to also. Anyway, my point is like, it takes time to move manufacturing back to the US. And I think what should have happened is companies who they are the explicit one that came up with the item, and they're having China manufacture it and send it here. I think they should have gotten like a tariff waiver, but all of the Chinese knockoff dropships should all just get fucking tariffed back to the Stone Age. But they get around it because they are sending them one at a time, and customs can't deal with it. Whereas these companies buy it by the pallet, and customs can, they know that these are supposed to be subject to import tariffs because they're buying them by the pallet load or by the shipping container load. So I think that we're in for really rough waters. I think that the tariffs are going to keep going, because they can't back down now or we'll really lose face. But they try to say, oh, chips are on a 60-day or this or that. Well, what I think they should have done, and it's funny because I think that the government could have just worked directly with Amazon and said, look, Amazon, you need a way to track every single item on here that is a Chinese dropshipper, and you need to block all of them. Only allow the original actual company to import. And so in this case, that'd be like only Rhino USA can import this portable toilet, period. If they were the people that designed it, they are the only people that should be able to import it. And it should be the same thing with the flip and slide. The company called Rhine Traps should be, they have a US patent for it. There should be no Chinese copy imports coming in, period. And instead there's tons of them. There's like 25 of them on the first page. 20 different copies on the first page. Like, some of them are for like a third of the price. That shit needs to stop. And it hasn't. And I think that's kind of like my point. Is that the tariffs still haven't quite kicked in yet. So I still think it's a good idea to be hedging on some of these things. I really do. I really do think that we're going to be in trouble with Chinese stuff. And I think it's only going to go up because I just don't see how else this is going to go. I don't. I think eventually they're going to have to tariff phones, even though we don't build those chips here, and we won't be building those chips here for a long time. Like, I think they're going to have to tariff, like, if they really want to hurt China. See, I mean, it's ironic, like, all the things that would hurt China the most, they went back on it. And so I think if you need stuff, you need to get it. I don't know if wood is going to go up or down, but like screws, if those screws are made in China, like, I would get that stuff, because the thing is, like, nobody knows what day that clamp is going to happen. But once the day that clamps down, screws are going to dry up. A lot of machetes are going to, swords and axes and all the fun things that people like, and a lot of affordable hammers. And the thing is, you might go, well, there's some made in America. Yeah, and those will be gone the next day. That's the problem. So, we are entering a world where losing is going to be real. And you need to get right with your buddies. You need to get right with your neighbors. You need to get right with your families. And, don't put yourself out to a way to where you're not able to take care of your own. But you need to be as strong and healthy as you can, but you still need to sleep too. Don't burn yourself out. But I'll just go back to kind of what I'm saying. Like, I think the thing that I'm planning and prepping for is power grid down from cyber and physical attacks. And we've already seen those physical attacks happening several times. And so what's that mean? That means I very carefully and cautiously accumulate little bits of battery and solar. When we can, we get it on sale. We do, low interest, no interest, or pay. We separate the payments out, and we don't overextend any of that. And now I can safely say that we have enough to run, the fridge for quite a while. I still need to work with my buddy to put a little like pass-through port in the wall so I can leave the batteries inside and have the solar outside, so it can be really nice and weather sealed. I hope that my buddy will work with me this summer to help me do that. But that's why I want money. I want money. I want to get these second, third, fourth revenue incomes going so I can have money to help my buddies. I want to be able to support them. They're general contractors. They're good people. They're good at what they do. They took the time to learn this, and I want to be able to support them. That's how we all help each other. Because I think we're going to have a grid down. And I want to have my place ready in case they want to bug out here. And same thing for my family. And, I want to repair the shed. And if someone has to crash in the shed, that's great. And if someone has to, crash an RV in the RV thing, they can. And I want it all to be ready and structural and good and stuff. And so I want to keep making more money and keep saving money. And so I really appreciate y'all, on this journey, because I think things are going to get worse. But I don't think it's going to be a total crash. I guess maybe I haven't said that in a long time, but I don't think it's going to be a total crash. Like, I think that our society, especially here in the US, like, we're really robust. It would take a lot to just completely knock us out. And so, a lot of people got Starlink now. People got 5G Wi-Fi. People got a lot of off-grid stuff. And I think we can weather a lot. But to weather a lot, you got to figure out how, like, survival living's been pushing on this a lot. Like, you got to figure out how to get water moving around. So that might mean somebody's got a tractor and they can move a bunch of water on it, and maybe it becomes their job to deliver water to everybody. And then everyone pitches in to help them and provide security, and everyone has their water jugs, and they come to the road with the water jugs and get their water jug filled as the water caravan goes by. But we'll get through this, and this isn't like it's the end of the world, send me money. But what I'm telling you, and it's what you should all be doing too, is look for those second, third, fourth revenue income streams and support your buddies and support your family as long as they're going to reciprocate. Support your neighbors as long as they're going to be there. And just try to not be a boat anchor. Try not to be a casualty. Try to be able to pull your weight. Try to do something. Even if you do one teeny tiny thing, you're still going to be doing better than everybody else. This year, there's a couple of house things that I have to do. I don't know how I'm going to get there yet because things aren't working out the way I thought, but I'm going to keep trying, and I'm not giving up on these revenue streams. So I'll get to that really quick, then we'll wrap up. My book, The Bunker Codes Rebranding, is going to be called Bunker Basics, Unpacking Your First Prepper Cache. I really, 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 really like that title. That's the title it's going to be. And my P&W Affliction art book is like 95% done. I'm just trimming up the margins. So what I need from all of you is there will be a big obvious announcement trailer when the Bunker Codes turns to Bunker Basics. And I'll drop the price for a few days. And what I'll need is I'll need everybody to go grab it. And then give me, a little bit of a review on it to help me kickstart the new branding. So if you haven't read a copy of Bunker Codes in a while, I'm making lots of teeny tiny updates in this one. There isn't any massive updates. But if you haven't read it in like a year or two, I think I wrote this in 2022, 2023, 2022, shit, I can't remember. But if you read like the first edition or just one of the first couple of editions, August 29th, 2022, it's been almost two and a half years, yeah. If you read this back in 2022 or early 2023, there's been massive updates to it. If you read it more recently, they're tinier updates. But rest assured, there's going to be a little bit of something new for everybody in the new version, Bunker Beginners. Wait, no, gosh darn it, I gotta stop calling it Bunker Beginners. It's Bunker Basics. It's hard. I really liked Bunker Codes. But it was always meant to be a BB. It was going to be Bunker Buddies. And so when I saw Bunker Basics, I'm like, oh man, I love that. Actually, I should check Amazon and make sure somebody hasn't put in Bunker Basics. Bunker Basics. Bunker Design Basics. By Everett Sinclair and AI. AI Illustrator Translator. Explores the history and engineering behind Cold War underground shelters. This book details essential architectural elements like structural integrity, ventilation, sanitation, crucible for habitable underground. Crucial. It also investigates use of materials like reinforced concrete. Bunker Design Basics progresses through historical context, engineering principles, and case studies of Cold War bunkers, offering a comprehensive view of their design and construction. Oh, well, that's cool. Damn it. I'm a couple months late to that name, but nobody's read this thing and nobody's reviewed it, and it's got literally nobody's read or reviewed this thing. Huh. Not a single, nobody's even purchased it. Damn. Well, it doesn't matter. We're doing it anyway. We're going with Bunker Basics anyway. Because I like it. And plus mine's got like a bomb diggity bomb subtitle. Whereas his doesn't have a subtitle at all. It's just Bunker Design Basics. Really, that should be called Cold War. His book should be called like Cold War Bunker Designs. Cold War Bunker Designs. Anyway, I'll check that out later. That actually looks interesting. He wants a lot. He wants a lot for it, though, for it only being 181 pages. He wants almost $9 on Kindle. Listen, buddy, that's why nobody's bought it yet. Anyway, well, we're really going off track here, but I think that's interesting. He just wrote this too. Anyway, so yeah, what I'll really need help with, and I'll ask y'all again when we get there, is when my Bunker Basics book comes, and it'll have the same book cover too, so it'll look really familiar. It's not coming out on Kindle; it's print only. There'll be a big advertising thing for it. You'll see that on the channel, and yeah, that's it. That's all she wrote. So those are my two big things coming out: the art book and Bunker Codes being redesigned into Bunker Basics. So I guess that's it. I just want to keep talking to you guys. I don't know. It's weird. I think we can get through this. I encourage you all to look at different revenue streams. If the first one doesn't work, don't give up. This isn't my first attempt at an alternate revenue stream either, and I've tried Patreon, and it did okay for a while until it didn't, and I tried coffee, and it worked well, until it didn't, and I tried DLive, and it worked for a while until it didn't, and just don't give up. Just don't give up. Like, most people just don't talk about money, because it just comes off too weird. But there's people out there Uber driving and door dashing, and they don't talk about it. But like, I feel like it's important to talk about, not because I'm begging, but because I think it needs to be talked about. Like, it takes money to do stuff, and like I've said before, some things like radios and drones and stuff, I wish night vision wasn't so stinking expensive, but some things that you buy really do help. You really do need to buy it, having good tools is just crazy. Having a wheelbarrow that doesn't suck, funny things like that. There's a little thing. I'll end with this, like little wire crimpers to be able to spool wire around, like heavy gauge wire, and then crimp it to itself. I didn't have any of that, and I was just dreading it because I'm like, I bet you that shit comes from China any day now. And I think I found some, and I think they're gonna work. But it's just funny. Like, I've got different boxes of different fuses. Like, I may ever only use like one in my life, but the fact that I have my own little boxes of fuses just makes me feel good, It's just, I don't know, just hang in there, everybody. And I know this one went a little long. The next 12 months, things are going to get really, really, really rough. Really rough. And if you ride through this, you will be way stronger on the other side. I think this is going to be harder than riding through 08 through 2010 and like 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. Like, I think riding through this is going to be harder than riding through those two. And I think I want everyone to be angling into this, hunkering down with their money, and getting ready to ride this out. People that are trying to buy houses right now are crazy. Because you've got to be ready. If you buy a house, you got to be ready to fight for that house for a really long time. You've got to have a really, really recession-proof job if you want to try to like fight for a house right now. And then was it with vehicles? I'm sorry, I know I just keep apparently, like, vehicle ownership, vehicle purchases have gone up like 20% because people were worried about cars getting gobbled up in the tariffs. I've never seen so many new cars on the road in my life. Although there's going to be, in about a year, there's going to be a lot of cars on them, a lot of used cars for sale from all these ding dongs buying up all these cars and the freak out over the tariffs, and they're going to lose them because they're going to lose their jobs. AI and automation. That's why I started doing that, talking with Grok, tech lead thing, to try to stay ahead of it. Like, automation and AI is just going to wipe out thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs, and the gig work is going to just dry up. We're going into really dark times for financials. So China's gearing up to wage like a financial World War III on us. Again, shout outs to Tech Lead for the video on that. That was really good. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm losing my voice and stuff. So I appreciate y'all, and leave a comment down below and I'll read it out in the next one. And I appreciate y'all, my engagement buddies. Bye.
Found a bunker deep in the woods. Supply stacked high, it feels so good. Hiding out neath the leafy hood. Gonna help others try to get through. Got a radio in my hand. Try to reach out across the land. Get the antenna up as high as I can. Being left alone, my only plan. Speak out loud across the world. Sending signals through the air. Gonna help and gonna care. Try to help get everyone squared. People scattered near and far. Light shining out like a distant star. Through the static, through the dark. Calling friends to help restart. If we band together, we should pull through. From my bunker, I can help you. Sending help, tell you all that I know. So grab a drink and enjoy the show. Speak out loud to the world. Sending signals through the air. Gonna help and gonna care. Even though life seems unfair. Got a radio in my hand. Try to reach out across the land. Get the antenna up as high as I can. Being left alone, my only plan. Speak out loud to the world. Sending signals through the air. Gonna help and gonna care. Even though life seems unfair. People scattered near and far. Light shining out like a distant star. Through the static, through the dark. Calling friends to help restart. If we band together, we should pull through. From my bunker, I can help you. Sending help, tell you all that I know. So grab a drink and enjoy the show.